On this episode of Kicked Back presented by Betway, we have the one and only Alice Talks Football. And Alice, I have to say, all of us here are big fans of you, your content, how you cover Manchester United, and everything you've done to grow your brand. Collectively, you have over 80,000 followers. And I just am so impressed with everything you're doing. So thank you for your time today here on our show.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate all the nice, kind comments. And yeah, very happy at the moment to be a United fan because things are going well and obviously enjoying making the content more than ever because I can be positive.
Okay, talk to me because this is perfect timing. We're just getting out of a big Europa League draw for United, and this was at Camp Nou where, a lot of teams, obviously there's that intimidation factor going into a Barcelona stadium. Barcelona, one of the most iconic clubs of all time, but so is United. And prior to the World Cup, it was crazy because these were kind of two teams that were trying to figure it out. And here we are post World Cup with both teams in their domestic leagues doing really well, but United, what they did in that game, you have to be so happy.
Honestly, I'm so happy because although Barcelona have been a bit like United in recent years, a bit hit and miss, they've obviously got knocked out the Champions League. I think a lot of people don't realise how good they've actually been this season in La Liga. They're top of La Liga. I think they haven't conceded a single open play goal at home in La Liga. Obviously, they've conceded a bit more in Europe. And, they've been in top form. They've been looking easily the best team in the league going into this, better than Real Madrid, who obviously won the Champions League last year. And I'm thinking, although Ten Hag's got playing well, Barcelona at top of their league, they're playing absolutely fantastic. This is the Nou Camp. Man United have never won a game at the Nou Camp. They barely concede any goals. So I said before the game, I think if we can get a draw and then take it back to Old Trafford, we can potentially beat them at Old Trafford. It's going to be tight because we didn't have Lisandro Martinez, we don't have Eriksen, we don't have Anthony, we don't have Anthony Martial. Like going into the game, I was like, if we can nick a draw here, I'd be so happy. And then when we actually played the game and I saw the amount of chances we created, and I thought, this is the Nou Camp. They don't concede goals. Their defence has been solid. And, another day we could have scored 3 or 4. We could have won that game.
It's so crazy because in the first half, I don't know, maybe I'd say 30 minutes, Barcelona was knocking the ball. There were a few times Fred gave away the ball for United, and I was like, ooh, like these kinds of errors might, United might find themselves in a difficult position. But after that, you guys found your footing. And I would even say after the first half, Barcelona had most of the possession, but United had the better chances. And then going into that second half, getting the lead and doing that again in a Barcelona stadium that is so iconic and I'm sure intimidating. What Erik ten Hag's done with this team, what these players are doing, Casemiro, Rashford, two of my favorite players to be watching right now. I personally feel like that was a United win when now Barcelona has to go back to, you want to talk about iconic stadiums, Old Trafford.
Yeah.
With a tough, now you guys get your players back. Woof. Barcelona's climbing an uphill battle right now.
100%. I mean, as you said, Barcelona had it for sort of the first kind of 30 minutes or so.
Yep.
And then I think we really go into the game. We got hold of the game. I think it's so difficult, the Nou Camp, the atmosphere. It's such a tough stadium to go to. And United grew into the game. And we actually, at full time, created double the amount of XG as Barcelona, which really showed that actually, like, we were the better team at the Nou Camp, And a game, as said, Ten Hag was missing so many players. It was such an informed Barcelona side to come out with the higher XG, with the higher chances created. I think the big thing for me was we went 1-0 down. And I thought, oh my God, we've gone 1-0 down. They don't deserve the lead. I said, we've been really good. And they got a goal because we didn't mark our man at the back post. And then within 9 minutes, we're 2-1 up. I think the mentality for United to respond, because I think the big problem last season was this mentality thing at United of we used to give up, go 1-0 down to Brighton, then we'd go 4-0 down, 1-0 down to Brentford, then we'd go 4-0 down. Like the mentality and belief Ten Hag had in us to go 1-0 down, respond like that. I mean, Marcus Rashford was just incredible. He had 9 minutes where he was just on fire. He should have arguably maybe got Koundé sent off as well. It was through on goal, could have got third. It's like unbelievable response from United at Nou Camp to go from 1-0 behind to go 2-1 up. But unfortunately, we just sort of lapsed concentration, gave the ball away, and it ended 2-2.
Talk to me about the referee, because Barcelona fans right now, you saw Xavi and Ten Hag at the end of the game complaining to the referees, but Barcelona fans are claiming that they've been robbed. But I agree with you. Koundé should have gotten a red card, maybe not a penalty, because if you really want to, go in with video review and everything, it might have happened outside of the box. But last man back, a challenge like that on Rashford, where this guy's feeling himself. He is, I don't know what it is, 14 goals in the last 16 games, 13 goals since the World Cups ended. You would assume he could have had a very good goal scoring chance. And at that point, if not, Koundé with the red card, Barcelona is playing with 10 men and United could finish that game off. So I understand the handball conversation, but I don't want to make Barcelona fans mad right now, but at times I was wondering if that referee was wearing a Barcelona jersey under his kit, because some of the calls that were being made in the game, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it was so frustrating to watch because it wasn't just that like arguable red card decision. It was like the little fouls, but I'm like, but he won the ball, and Barcelona must have had 4 or 5 free kicks right outside the edge of our box, and I'm thinking that we actually won the ball on like a good 2 of them. And I just think there were so many times where there was just these little fouls, and I'm thinking, was that a foul? For me, the referee, it was probably Barcelona's best man.
I absolutely love that. I saw an awesome clip of you, by the way. I think it was back in 2019. You were being interviewed. I wonder if it was just by someone in the media outside of, I want to assume, Old Trafford. And they asked you, what manager would you like to come and coach United? And you said Erik Ten Hag, the coach of Ajax. So now it's like you're the psychic because he's at the club. And of course, there was a little bit of adversity when he first came into the club. I think it was a bit of a toxic situation. There was a lot of stuff going on with the Glazers and the Ronaldo situation. But now he's turned this team around from the bottom of the table to the top of the table. So talk to me about your prediction, why you wanted Ten Hag to come in, and how you feel about everything he's done.
So I've always been an admirer of Ten Hag, obviously back since like 2018, 2019, as mentioned. I've always liked what he's done at Ajax. I remember watching Ajax in the Champions League. They had a really good run, and they got knocked out by Spurs in the semi-final. And I'd always kind of admired Ten Hag, and like since that kind of good Champions League run, I've always kind of had a liking to Ajax. And what I always like is like a manager that plays attacking football, utilizes young players and all of that, and which is what Ten Hag got. And then obviously when reading up about Ten Hag a lot, like last year when things were going kind of wrong for United, and like I would hear players talk about his mentality, how strict he is, how like he's got a winner's mentality, like winning at all costs kind of thing. When I looked at United last season, we had a few issues, but I think the main issue United last season, one of the reasons we were so bad, was there was a big mentality issue and a big dressing room issue. And obviously, I think Ten Hag, I didn't expect him to be doing this good of a job. I didn't think we'd finish in top 4. We might not finish in top 4 because we've had a lot of injuries and other people have invested a lot more in January, but we look pretty comfortable for top 4. And I thought before the season, it'll probably be 6th. This will be a settle-in season. We judge him next season. And I think he's really hit the ground running. And the biggest thing for me, again, is like that we've got some bad eggs out the dressing room. He brought people in like Casemiro, who's a leader. Lisandro Martinez, that he knows at Ajax, is just a warrior. Malassi's got a great attitude. Anthony's passionate. Eriksen's kind of got that experience. It's very much, I think the biggest change for me is the mentality of this. Last season, it was 11 individuals on a pitch that looked like they didn't want to be there. They weren't running. They weren't fighting together. It wasn't a team. It was just 11 individuals. There was no team chemistry. And recently, we look like a team again, which is just so nice to watch.
You mentioned Casemiro, and I remember when all of that not drama, but the news came out that he was going to leave Real Madrid to go to United. And at this point in time, I think it's when United lost 4-0 to Brentford. So they were at the bottom of the table for the first time in 30 years. And Casemiro went to United, made the decision to leave Real Madrid, like you mentioned earlier, just won the Champions League, have the potential to go back-to-back, playing in the best midfield trio in the world. And he's going to United. So in my mind, I'm like, this guy wants a paycheck. Maybe he's going into the later year of his career and he just wants to make sure that money's coming in, right? What he has done, and I know this is a team effort, and I know Ten Hag deserves an immense amount of credit, but what Casemiro has done in terms of, you talk about mentality and how contagious his mentality must be on the pitch with the other players. And what he's brought to this team, I think, has been so invaluable. I mean, we saw in the Barcelona game how he stared down Gavi. I'm like, those little things that he does, it's so impactful. And what are your thoughts right now? Do you think he's the best defensive center mid right now in the world, in the Premier League? What are your thoughts on what Casemiro has brought to this United team?
I mean, I feel like you have to say he's the best DM in the world for the pure fact of I know Thomas Partey's very good, Rodri's very good, but I'm thinking Real Madrid are struggling without him. Like I see a lot of Real Madrid fans going, you know what, like Tchouaméni's good, they've got some good midfielders, but they miss Casemiro. You know, he's won 5 Champions Leagues. Historically, he's the best in the world. But I think the fact that we'd lost 4-0 to Brighton and he could have had it very safe at Real Madrid. And when we lost 4-0 to Brighton, the mentality he showed to actually, reportedly, he's ran up John Murta, who kind of sorts the deals up, and said,
Yes.
I'm not put off by this. I still want to come to Manchester United. Like, I want to make United great again. Like, you know, he's a brilliant player when he sees United lose 4-0. He's seen how bad we've been recently. You know, that a lot of players have come to United flopped. The Premier League's, I think, a lot more difficult than La Liga. And he comes to United into a struggling United side. It's not like we're on top of the world. It's easy. It's not like he's gone to like PSG or something. And he's absolutely transformed the team. I mean, the Arsenal game which we lost to Arsenal, we massively missed him. You know, the Leeds game where we dropped points, we massively missed him. You know, it's when he's not there, you notice his presence gone. And I don't know if that's partly because we don't have another DM on top of Casemiro. It would be playing McTominay out of position. But it's like, for me, I've always said kind of games are won and lost in midfield. Erik ten Hag has done wonders. Mentality is a big thing. But I think Casemiro is probably the best signing we've made. I think he has to be the best DM in the world because he's took the United side from looking like 4-0 to Brentford to actually we're 5 points off top, give and take they have a game in hand. But like, I think that's mad.
I completely agree with you. Absolutely. Question for you, Bruno Fernandes. One of the most disliked players if you're not a United fan. Or Portuguese fan, but a player who, when he's on his game, is very, very good. We saw that at the World Cup for Portugal in the group stages of the World Cup for them. He was arguably their best player. Talk to me. What are your thoughts about Bruno Fernandes? Do you love him? And you know, he's an emotional, theatrical guy. Is that something you like about his game, or is that something that maybe annoys you?
I quite like the emotion. I understand what annoys rivals, but
Yeah.
I think it kind of gives me that kind of Roy Keane kind of mentality of he will do everything for his team, and I think you need that fighters. And I always love Bruno because I think when he's almost gone from baby overrated to underrated recently. He first joined United, he was absolutely, the stats were incredible. Absolutely insane stats. We were like awful, then he joined and then we got top 4 despite being 14 points off top 4 with 13 games to go when he joined. Completely changed the United side and he was incredible. And then he dropped off a bit last season, but I think everyone dropped off because United was just a mess. You know, look at Rashford last season, look at Luke Shaw last season, and now they're fantastic this season. And I think under Erik ten Hag, he's really changed his game. And I think he's kind of a bit underrated because we've actually not lost a game that Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes have started together. You know, he hasn't got that number 9 really in either to provide service for, and he's still getting decent numbers. But I think his all-round improvement in the game is mad. Like the amount of times he'll be creating all these chances, I'm thinking he could have got 2 assists today. The involvement he has in the game, he's been really key. He's sometimes had to ship off to the right-hand side as well, just to kind of help out there. But I think, you know, he has the odd iffy games. But what I like about Bruno is he's really turned into a team player lately. His work rate is unbelievable. Like even versus Barcelona, yeah, he didn't do anything crazy like a goal or assist, but actually just kind of tracking back and making those interceptions, makes a few key passes.
Absolutely. Listen, have you ever thought about going on Sky Sports or some type of news broadcast for football? I don't know what I figured it would be Sky Sports in the UK, but you are so knowledgeable, Alice, and I swear that's your future and that's your potential. If that's ever something you want to do, you need to send your resume in or something, girlfriend. You have to.
Honestly, thanks so much. I'd love to go on there one day. I must try and ask them actually if I can.
You have to, or just like put it on your vision board or something, because your brain is there and your knowledge is there and your passion's there. And I love hearing it again from another woman who loves football. We need more women in that space. And talking to you right now makes me so happy because I wish that you lived here where I lived, or I could go and grab a coffee with you because we just have the best conversations. So this has been great. I appreciate your time. And I really feel like your future is so big, but I'm not done with you just yet. I just really had to throw that in there.
Thanks so much.
Of course, Alice, for us Canadians, for Americans, for anyone listening to this show right now who have never been to Old Trafford, which is, again, one of the most iconic stadiums in football, what is special about it? What's been a game like atmosphere for you when you go? Are you just in awe of what Old Trafford is and obviously the legacy that that stadium holds?
Yeah, I mean, I love Old Trafford. It's such like a historic vibe. When I go there, it always feels kind of surreal. I always go there like every year around Christmas time normally because I like to go up to Manchester around Christmas time, see the lights and stuff. And I have to say it's my favorite stadium. I've been in a couple Premier League stadiums, and maybe I'm biased because I'm a United fan, but just the all round feeling. Like when I last went, which was last, I haven't been this season, unfortunately. I've been really busy. But when I last went last season, even though it was an absolute awful mess at Manchester United last season, we were horrific. It was still the fact that the fans were so loud, so vocal, the chanting. I got to sit really close to the front, like really near where Ralph Radnick was, and see the players up front. And it's such an unbelievable atmosphere because even when we're rubbish, you can still just hear us chant and sing. Yeah.
I've never been to a Premier League game, and I don't really even I definitely know I haven't been to any professional football game here in Canada. We have Major League Soccer, the MLS. So we have our teams within each city, but it would be such an incredible experience. Like I think Anfield, I think Old Trafford, I think
Mm.
of these stadiums about like being able to go there and see, like you said, these players live that we grew up watching. You know, we talk about Ronaldo's and Messi's. To be able to see them play live has to be one of the coolest things you can do.
Honestly, like watching Ronaldo live, like even though he didn't
Oh,
score anything, it's like, I've seen him live a couple times now, and it's like, you know what, like in a few years' time, you're going to look back at that and you'll be like, this is one of the best football players ever. And he was standing, maybe like 4 meters away from me at one point, like because I was so close to the pitch as well. And I think like,
was he like, obviously a very athletic player? What did he look like that in person? When you watch him attack at speed, is it something that when you see live in person, you're just like, there's a reason why this guy is considered to be one of the greatest of all time?
100%, like because I got to the stadium early, even when they're training and they're like kicking the ball in the net and running around and stuff. And actually, you don't realize how physical and fast they are until you're in this, like in the stadium. Like because I was like 2 rows from the front, and I remember Diego Dalot was playing right back, and
Mhm.
he was like, I was like, he's so much bigger and quicker and physical than it's kind of portrayed on TV. Same with Ronaldo, and you actually see how powerful they're hitting the football and passing the football like in person.
That's so crazy. Are you a Cristiano Ronaldo fan?
Yeah, I am.
Were you sad about how everything went down?
Yeah, like I think it was for the best that he maybe left because with Ten Hag he wants everyone to want to be here, positive attitude. But I'm just thinking, I know you wanted to leave, and I know that maybe United didn't want to let you leave, but did you have to go and do that interview? Like maybe if you'd have left Ten Hag out of it and you'd just done the interview talking about the Glazers and your ambition, that would have been all right. But I think he was disappointed that he did the interview, and I think he came across a little bit bitter when talking about Ten Hag and some of the
Mhm.
ex-players. It's like, yeah, they've criticised you, that's their job as a pundit to criticize you, but you don't need to kind of snap back at them. And I did think we just, got a good win at Fulham, got Nacho scores a last minute goal, and then it did kind of get overshadowed by that a bit.
Do you think that's the general consensus with United fans? At least when all of that was going down and you were talking to your United fans, friends, or you went to a game, was that what everyone was kind of saying?
Yeah, we were kind of saying there was a few United fans that are like Ronaldo over club and just Ronaldo FC that love Ronaldo so much, and that's up to
Me.
them. And then there's a few United fans that were very much like, get him out. And I'm like, realistically, he wants to leave. Realistically, he's done so much for his club. I could never turn him. I could never dislike him because of it. I was disappointed that he'd gone in on the manager. But the one thing I really liked was actually, I think the general consensus of the fan base was, we like Ronaldo. This is not, we know how good he is. We're not going to let 2, 3 bad bumps overshadow what he's done at
Yeah.
United. But I think that in a situation like this, you'd normally expect all the players to turn on Ten Hag and be Team Ronaldo, and all the fans to turn on Ten Hag and be Team Ronaldo because he's such an influential figure. And I think it really showed how respected that Ten Hag is by the players and the fan base.
When the first time the situation went down, because for me growing up, there was two players for me that kind of, or three, that really inspired my football career and why I love it so much, and that was Kaká, David Beckham, and Ronaldo. And I'm so loyal that when all that went down, I was like, I don't like the optics of the situation from everyone's point of view. I don't think that there was any mutual respect from all of the parties involved. And I'm not always saying that Ronaldo in everything he's done he's right. Like, I'm not saying that. I think that the situation where he kind of threw the fans' phone down and whatnot, and certain things he says, I'm not always standing by that, but I do feel like at times he may have been disrespected and then he acted out of emotion in response. So I will always be loyal to Ronaldo because he's my personal greatest of all time. But if I take that bias and emotion out of what Ten Hag has done with this United team, what he's done with Rashford, I sat back yesterday after that game against Barcelona and I was like, this guy's an actual genius. And we knew that, like you said, with the Eredivisie titles he's won. But how he's turned this United team around in such a short period of time in the same season, this guy deserves so much credit. And again, I'm now taking the Ronaldo stuff out of it. There's no way that anyone can look at Ten Hag and be like, he knows what he's doing. He knows what 100%. He's doing. He has a vision. He has an identity for this club. He's holding everyone accountable to that identity. And there's a clear idea of what the future looks like. And you can't say that about every club and every manager. Look what's going on with Chelsea, right? So I feel like United fans, whether they stood on the Ronaldo train or the Ten Hag train right now, if you take that out, like, you just got to give credit to what United has done and what Ten Hag's done with this club.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think Ronaldo had reasons to be upset. I do think that the club should let him go in the summer. We know the board and the people higher up at the club have lied to players, Glazers. We know this. We don't always treat players the best, but I think when you just look at it and you take Ronaldo out of it, and as you said, you just look at what Ten Hag's done, changing their mentality. We've also had lots of signings that have been awful, but all of Ten Hag's signings, you can see he signed them for a reason. Whereas I think in the past, why did Ollie sign Donny van de Beek? Why did we sign this player? Why have we spent 80 million on Maguire? Whereas the Ten Hag, it was very clear of, these are the signings I want. We waited for Anthony and we did overpay for Anthony, but he was very clear that he's got a role for each player that he wants. He's got a clear direction, clear vision. I think with Ten Hag, I can actually see where he wants to go. I think with Ollie, I was like, I kind of get how Ollie wants to play, but you couldn't see Ollie's long-term vision. We just know that Ten Hag wants to kind of play how he did at Ajax at United, and he's building the team to do that. And I think, we've had so many injuries this season. Martial has been non-existent. Our other striker, Ronaldo's gone. We've brought in a Burnley player in Wout Weghorst on loan, and Wout Weghorst was playing centre mid versus Barcelona. Rashford, who was a left winger, who sometimes played striker, is now playing striker, and he's gone from 5 goals last season to over 20 this season. I think just the all-round change and what he's getting out of the players, I think it's massive.
Completely agree. Okay, before I let you go, Alice, tell everyone here how you became a United fan. Is this something that's generational? Are your parents United fans, or is this something that, a love that you found on your own?
It's more of a love that I found on my own, I think, because, my favourite colour was red, so I think that's definitely given an influence on it. But, my family aren't that into football, like my immediate family. So I didn't really have, a team I was pushed to support. And I was very, very young when I fell in love with United. I've got pictures of me when I was, 4 or 5 with United kits on. And I think, I was born in 2000, and just the 2 players I remember love watching is Ronaldo and Rooney, because they were young. Rooney especially, I think at the time, Ronaldo was a bit later. I think Rooney was the first footballer I idolised. I would have been 3 when he moved to United. He was obviously playing for England. I remember watching England and I was like, this is the kid, Wayne Rooney. It was more that Wayne Rooney was my favourite footballer. I remember him being the first footballer I remember watching, yes, I like him. And I think I generally supported United because I fell in love with the Rooney, Ronaldos, the young players growing up.
That's amazing. And so what made you just want to start this channel? Did you just wake up one day and say, I have all this knowledge and all of these emotions and I want to get them out to other United supporters and now build this incredible social media platform that you've built?
Yeah, I guess so. It was kind of when I was a kid, I would always make silly YouTube videos from time to time. I had basic skills and just kind of editing, how it worked. I like to make videos. And then I think obviously when I left school, I remember I did a gap year and I had a bit of time. And I remember I was always watching the United Stand and other United channels. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make some football videos. At first it was going to be general football. And then I just loved talking about United so much that it kind of pushed into United. And then lockdown happened, COVID. I had so much time because I couldn't work, couldn't go anywhere, that I was like, you know what, let's focus on this. So then I kind of did the TikTok, and then I was like, let's just keep working on this and see where it goes. And luckily it's gone quite well.
And your TikToks popped off. You're almost at 200,000 followers. That's amazing. Did you ever think when you started your account that you would have this many followers and this many football fans who want to hear what you have to say? Because it's such a compliment to your voice and what you're doing.
Generally, not a clue. I literally, like, when I made TikTok, I was like, let me just make some videos and see if it helps the YouTube. Like, not going in there thinking that I now have more followers on TikTok than YouTube. And I remember when I hit 10,000 followers on TikTok, I was like so amazed by it. I was like, wow, like 10K, like what the hell? Like, it just kind of happened. And I was like, well, I'll just keep at this and see where it goes. But I didn't think that I'd be on like 200K followers ever.
Do you ever get mean comments?
I mean, yeah, I probably do. I'm really bad. I don't really read a lot of my
Good
comments.
for
Like,
you. Smart.
it's like, I don't know, like, because I post so often every day, like, and when I remember when I first posted, I used to read and reply, and now I just kind of post, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what the comments are to this. I might look 2 days later, but I think YouTube is always positive. TikTok, it's normally positive, but it will be people with different opinion. And like, if it is hateful, like, it would never really bother me because 90% of the comments would be positive. So if one person comments something silly, like woman, I'd be like, well, that's not
Yeah.
that's not really going to offend me, is it? It just makes me laugh.
Good. I love that. Now, what is your goal? Like, let's say in the next 5 years, you've built, again, with all your social media platforms, 80,000 supporters, fans of yours, subscribers, followers. What's your big goal for Alice Talks Football?
Ooh, I think again, continue expanding the YouTube and TikTok. I think especially TikTok at the moment because I've focused a lot more on YouTube than TikTok as of lately. So definitely this summer I want to get back on like to TikTok, make more consistent videos, and I think long term would be to branch out and then hopefully one day get invited to go on Sky and BBC and the big broadcasting companies in the UK.
They absolutely, absolutely should consider you and talk to you because it's been so awesome from my end to just hear you talk about everything going on over there. And I appreciate your time. And I want to say that your player ratings videos that you do on TikTok, I love listening to every single one of them and hearing, what you have to say about each player. I think the way you have made your channel is incredible. And United fans have a nice home to kind of after a game, before a game, if there's an update with management, you're kind of on top of everything. So you've provided that for them on these social media platforms, which is great. But for everyone listening to our show, maybe Alice, can you tell them where to find you on these social media platforms and what to search for so they can follow you along on your journey?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube, search Alice Talks Football. TikTok, search Alex Talks Football. And then Twitter, I think it's Alice Talks Footy. If you just search them all up, I should come up. If not, search Alice Abrahams, and I'm sure I'd come up anyway.
Amazing. And last thing, I promise, what's your prediction for the second leg?
I'm going to say 2-1 United.
Okay. And who's going to score those goals?
You have to say Rashford. I just think with the form he's in, I could see maybe a Bruno penalty. I could see us maybe finally getting a penalty, Rashford goal. And then I think Barcelona, I think Lewandowski might score because it's Lewandowski.
Yeah, I love Lewandowski. So I'm Polish and I love Lewandowski. I support that guy till the end of time. But I told my dad yesterday, I said, if I'm being slightly tough on Lewandowski, he should have finished at least one of his chances yesterday for Barcelona, just because he needs to have that, obviously he's the top goal scorer in La Liga and for Barcelona, but I want him to have that big moment kind of in this Europa League game to,
Yeah.
Give Barcelona that edge. Not that I want Barcelona to have the edge, but I want it for Lewandowski. So we'll see if he can get that out at Old Trafford because it'd be amazing for him as, one of the best number 9s in the world to have that moment. So we'll see. But I wish you guys the best of luck. I'm excited to see what Ten Hag pulls out of his pocket and also Xavi because some of his tactical decisions in that game were questionable. Like, I don't know why he took off Rafinha and all this stuff. So we'll see what these managers come to play with in the second leg. And Alice, it's been so great talking to you. And I hope we can have you back on the show. Maybe if Manchester United do something very, very special in the Europa League, it'd be great to have your opinion on it.
Thank you very much for having me and all the compliments. I'm not very good at taking compliments, so I do really appreciate it. And honestly, happy to come on. And if Man United do well in the Europa League, I'd love to just come talk about them again and big up Man United.
Amazing. We love to hear it. Thank you so much.